Chapter 7. My eyes fluttered open to see Frankie standing over me.
"She's awake,"
Frankie said. An older man peered into my eyes with a penlight.
Welcome back. How do you feel?
Nauseated. He nodded.
You might throw up, and that's okay. I think you have a concussion. You should go to the hospital for an examination.
I don't have insurance or money.
Then make sure you stay awake for 24 hours to be on the safe side. I know it's not common practice anymore, but without an examination, I don't want to take any chances.
Is she able to go home now?
Asked a voice more delicious than chocolate. I turned toward the voice. It was Grayson.
Yes, but someone needs to stay with her.
I'll be fine at home, I said.
Is there someone who can watch you?
Grayson asked. Frankie has to work tonight. I can be a witness in the chapel. Frankie shook his head.
"I close the chapel tonight for your performance. I have a date lined up for later, but I'll cancel. You're more important."
No, go on your date. You never get nights off. You deserve a normal date. I tried to stand. Grayson took my arm and assisted me.
You can stay with me at the casino.
Grayson offered. Concussion or not, my insides were doing cartwheels at the thought of staying with him. I don't want to put you out. Let me call Roy and ask him, I said, playing it smooth.
You wouldn't be putting me out, but I understand if you'd feel more comfortable with Roy.
I borrowed Frankie's phone and called Roy. No answer. I tried to think of someone else, but I didn't have any close friends here. I gave a nervous titter. "Looks like you're stuck with me," I told him. He smiled.
I'd rather be stuck with you than the mountain of paperwork waiting for me back at the office.
Frankie shook his head.
"You're going to be wishing you had the paperwork after having to take care of Nadia for 24 hours. Once she was stricken with the flu, and I've never seen a grown woman whine so much."
I glared at Frankie.
"Ooh, you see. It's already begun.
He turned to Grayson.
Make sure you take care of my star. She's going to make me rich. Just have to work out the kinks in her routine."
Frankie gave me a kiss on the top of my head and left. I peered at Grayson. "I'm really sorry about this. And for the record, I don't whine."
Don't worry about it. It's not your fault.
"What happened?" I asked, trying to recall the event.
A person ran from backstage and slammed straight into you. I've never seen anything like it. He didn't even stop.
"Does anyone know who it was?" Grayson shook his head.
They were wearing a hoodie that covered their face. It may have been a woman from the thin figure.
"I did hear noise backstage. That's when I nearly fainted at the remembrance of my butt hanging out. Grayson had witnessed the whole thing. Ugh, this was too embarrassing.
You were amazing on stage. My VIPs loved it.
When my ass popped out, I nearly shrieked. His head fell back as he laughed.
Well, I can't say they didn't enjoy that as well.
I groaned.
Come on,
He said.
let's get out of here.
What about your VIPs?
Remy will take us to the penthouse and then come back to pick them up after Lupier's performance.
I'm sorry about this.
Don't be.
You could make Remy babysit me,
I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
Grayson said, chuckling.
He might take it literally and sit on you.
He must have been kidding, but I was too befuddled by his proximity. Grayson led me through the backstage and stayed close in case I became lightheaded. The limo was parked near the backstage exit with Remy waiting. My eyes caught a man watching us from the adjacent parking lot. He was leaning against a black car, his eyes pierced through the distance.
Remy, can you call ahead and make sure supplies are brought up for Nadia?
Grayson asked. Remy nodded and ushered me into the back seat. I don't need anything, I said. I'm fine. Grayson eyed me as he slipped into the limo.
You're wearing a burnt costume and your hair is singed. Not to mention, you'll probably have a nasty headache later.
My hair? My hand flew to inspect my hair. Is it okay?
Don't worry about it. I can hire a stylist to come and fix it.
I contemplated. Why are you doing all of this?
Do I need a reason?
Most people do.
How about a vacation from work for 24 hours?
You wouldn't actually be taking a vacation since you're still on property. You'll have your phone and probably a laptop too.
You're taking the fun out of this.
Grayson, please don't take offense, but you seem like a man who is married to his work. Marriage doesn't get vacations.
That's not a glowing recommendation for marriage.
If you met a woman and fell head over heels in love with her, would you marry her? He shook his head.
It wouldn't be fair to marry her. You're right about me. My job comes first. She would end up having to compete for my attention.
So there's the end to your vacation. He smirked.
We barely know each other, and yet you already know me better than I know myself.
You might want to work on that.
Are you okay? I think your eyes just crossed.
I felt a twinge. His arm reached around my shoulder, bringing me to lean on him. I settled against him, as if it was natural to be near him. I didn't fight it. My head was already throbbing. His scent drifted to me, clean with the slightest hint of expensive cologne. It made my insides hum. Remy dropped us off at the front entrance of the casino. Grayson steered me to the elevator using his key card to access the top floor. My face sprang into an awestruck gawk as I stepped inside the penthouse. My entire apartment would fit in it 4 times over. The living room was classy with clean lines, warm tones, and a distinct impression it was designed specifically for a man. Black accents were sprinkled through the room. The kitchen had a steel gray granite top, stainless steel appliances, and drop-down lighting that was more for style than function.
Will this be okay as your home for the next 24 hours?
Grayson asked. I smirked. I was hoping for something a little more upscale and classy. He chuckled and pressed a light kiss onto my forehead before going into the kitchen. My fingers touched where his kiss had fallen. Is there something going on here? My thoughts strayed to Caleb, but I shook him out of my head. Caleb and I weren't going to work, and Grayson wouldn't be in it for the long haul. I needed to keep them both at bay until I figured things out, but not until my headache disappears. There was a knock on the door. Grayson opened it to let Maya in. She bounded in like a Labrador puppy, but quickly stopped when she caught a glimpse of me.
Nadia, what happened to you?
A little incident involving fire.
I was told Grayson needed supplies, but I didn't know they were for you. I was coming to check on what he needed.
Nadia is going to stay with me for 24 hours.
Grayson said.
Doctor's orders in case you start getting ideas in your head.
Maya put her nose up.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Since I've known you, you've tried to marry me to at least one woman every month.
If you would marry one of them, I wouldn't have to keep trying.
His eyes crinkled with a smile. He kissed her forehead and sent her off with a list of things to bring back to the room. I relaxed after having seen her get a forehead kiss too. It's probably just something he does. I wonder if he accidentally kisses his employees or business partners. I smiled at the image of him kissing his newest Japanese business partner on the forehead.
Why don't you go take a shower? It will make you feel better, and then hopefully Maya will have some clothes ready for you. If not, just use one of the robes.
I guess we should have stopped by my place. I could have at least changed my clothes.
It's not a big deal.
I steered myself to his bathroom. I stared in wonder at his shower. You could fit a small elephant in it. There were shower heads from every direction, all facing the center. I searched for a knob to turn the shower on. How do I turn it on? I shouted.
Just step into it.
He called from the living room. I stripped off my singed dress and stepped hesitantly into the shower. The water immediately cascaded down and was the perfect temperature. My muscles wilted with unexpected surrender. A basket full of boutique soaps and shampoos was within reach. I smelled each one, trying to figure out which one Grayson used. I couldn't determine the exact one, so I picked the calming lavender. I stood there longer than I would have in my own shower, letting the experience and water wash away my headache and the memory of a night I wanted to forget. I sighed as I stepped out of the shower and wrapped a towel around myself. I wasn't ready to leave the place that wrapped me in a cuddly water cocoon, but I didn't want to keep Grayson waiting. Maybe if I got messy again, I could take another shower before my time was up. I donned a robe and found my way back to the living room. Grayson was immersed in his laptop, but caught a glimpse of me and smiled.
I thought I might need to come in there and drag you out. I was afraid you were trying to sneak in a nap.
Your shower is impressive. I think you can reconsider marriage. She wouldn't really need you. One shower could satisfy a person for a week.
It was that good?
To die for, I said, plopping down on the couch. I winced as a zing raced through my brain.
Are you okay?
It could be a headache, or my brain was zapped by a lightning bolt.
Maya brought some stuff. She was insistent that I should let her stay, but I told her she could harass you later if that's okay. I think there's some headache medicine.
He dug through the bag and pulled out a bottle.
There's also an ice pack and a heating pad. I don't know which you would need. Do you want them?
Just the medicine for now. Grayson brought me a bottle of water and 2 tablets. I shot the tablets into my mouth and took a gulp of water.
You officially have 23 hours to go. Do you want to watch a movie with me?
It's Friday night, I stated, inspecting him. He was still in a suit and all business.
Is that a yes for the movie?
Why aren't you on a date? Even Frankie has a date tonight.
I don't plan ahead because I inevitably have to cancel. If I need to find a date, I do so at the last moment.
Uh-huh.
What does that mean? I can see your wheels turning.
Nothing really. I think sometimes I would like to be a man. He smiled.
Perhaps in your next life.
Perhaps, I said. I want to see your secret spy stuff.
What secret spy stuff?
Yes, you do. You know everything that happens. You knew about my wager with Caleb as it was happening. You were at the tournament minutes after the lights went out. How is that possible if you don't have secret spy stuff? He laughed.
Would you like a tour of the super secret spy room?
Yes.
Now, aren't you glad I don't have a date? Why don't you get dressed and we'll head down?
I hopped off the couch but had to grab my stomach and my head to steady myself.
Are you sure you want to do this?
He asked. Yes, you're stuck with me for 23 more hours, and I'll drive you crazy if you don't show me. Plus, it would keep us out of the penthouse and far away from treacherous temptation. I snatched the bag Maya brought and dug around. I pulled out jeans and a stretchy t-shirt. I also pulled out something resembling a bra and panties, but with hardly any fabric. It was questionable. I took my items to the bathroom and dressed. I tied my hair back into a ponytail, overlapping my burnt hair with some healthier strands. Grayson was waiting when I stepped back into the living room. He had changed from his Armani suit into relaxed jeans and a deep blue button-down shirt, leaving the bottom untucked. I halted. His shoulders were wide and his body tapered down to narrow hips. I had the sudden urge to unbutton his shirt, button by button, and kiss his chest all the way down. He raised an eyebrow. I shook the image of his naked body out of my head. I think the conch on my head must have some side effects. I just didn't expect to see you without a suit, I said to cover my obvious ogling.
I do have a little bit of a life outside my suit,
He said, scooting me out the door. I would love to help him out of his suit. Down, girl. He led me into the elevator, where I stood on the opposite side so I didn't do anything I might regret. We arrived on the main floor, and I followed him down a few hallways leading to various parts of the casino. This part was all public space, and as a frequent player at this casino, I had seen it all before.
Grayson?
A woman called out. I turned around to see Katerina and instantly grimaced. Grayson glanced down at me.
I thought it was you.
She said as she neared him.
I saw you at Lupier's performance tonight. The main act was great, but I can't say the same for the opening act.
A slithery smile escaped, aimed directly at me.
What can I do for you, Katerina?
Have you been avoiding me lately?
No, I've been busy.
You're always busy.
She said, casting an evil eye in my direction.
but not so busy to skip spending time with her. You know she's been playing around with Caleb, right?
My eyes sent daggers in her direction.
Katerina, I'll talk to you later. This isn't a discussion we need to have now.
My stomach lurched. Had Katerina already sunk her claws into Grayson? Is there a man alive who hasn't had a Katerina sampler platter?
Okay.
She said, stepping closer. Her finger touched his shirt button.
Later tonight?
No, I'm busy.
She flashed her eyes at me.
Don't bother with her. She's so plain and boring. Why would you want her when you can have me?
Grayson sidestepped her, slipping his hand into mine.
Good night, Kat.
Katerina glared while Grayson led me away. When we were far enough away, Grayson said,
Sorry about Katerina.
I shrugged. She's dove into every poker player's bet already. I'm sure she wants to set her next score higher. Maybe that's why she's been netting magicians, too.
Which is why I've been avoiding her.
My feet quit moving. My hand slipped out of Grayson's. You mean you haven't already?
Slept with her. No.
Grayson's fingers threaded through mine, resuming our path. When I didn't speak, because I was trying to comprehend a man passing up sex, he said,
Are you stunned into silence?
I didn't think the day would come. He chuckled.
When a man could resist having sex?
Frankly, yes. He used his keycard to access an employee-only hallway and once more to access a room. My eyes widened as he opened the door and allowed me in. It's like a spy film, I said. The walls of the large room were covered in monitors. Strategic stations with buttons and switches were posted along the monitor walls for security to watch. A man in a security uniform hurried over to Grayson.
I wasn't expecting to see you.
The man said.
I'm giving Nadia a tour. Did Remy notify you that she's allowed complete access to the penthouse for the next 24 hours?
The man's eyes drifted to me but snapped back to Grayson.
Yes, he did.
Grayson asked him a few questions about various business issues as I roamed around the room peering at monitors. There must be hundreds of cameras on property. Some of the monitors had only one camera dedicated to them, while others flipped through several camera shots. I halted when I caught a glimpse of the high-stakes room. Caleb was still there. It's not uncommon for a poker player to work a table for an entire day, so I didn't think anything of it until I spotted the dealer sweeping chips away from Caleb. What the hell? The man at the station nearest to me cast his gaze up in my direction, then back at his station of monitors.
Caleb's been losing all night.
Do you know how much he's lost?
I would guess $250,000.